Hello.
Hey, howdy, howdy.
You
Hi.
look how I feel. I have a wicked headache. You look like you've got one. Like,
Hello, everyone. I'm here too. Matt's here.
Hi,
Running
Matt.
late.
Hi, Matt.
Sorry. Long
Howdy,
day.
howdy, Matt.
How's it going, man?
You're
Yeah,
not late. It's only 5:59.
Yeah, well, I like to be like, that this is late. I like to be like 5 minutes early. It's like
You're
the military. On time is 5 minutes early.
you're like sliding in.
Yeah. I'll turn the video on in 1 minute here.
We good now, Michelle?
Yes, you're
Okay.
good. I'm gonna make Matt, I don't know if he can hear me, but I'm gonna make him the leader before I leave so he can end the meeting.
Okay.
All
All right, we'll call the finance meeting to order. It is 6 p.m. on May 12th. Jenny, can you give roll call?
Tammy,
Yeah, here.
Ben,
Here.
Matt. He's muted.
I'm here. I'm here. Thank you.
Do we have any citizens, Michelle?
I have no comment from anybody at this time.
Fabulous. All right. Minutes from last meeting. Any discussion on the minutes? I don't have anything.
Nope, none for me. Thank you.
None for me.
All right.
Motion to approve the minutes, send them to council.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Financial reports, Jenny. And look, everybody, we see Jenny today.
Got the new UAN computer all going, so I'm here. All the funds appear to be stable. Cash summary, there were no adjustments, but next month we're going to see a $7,200 adjustment. We had to void a check and it was cut from the previous year, so it shows up as a fund adjustment. That is for directional drilling that we were going to do at the park, and then we ended up not doing the work. So at this point, the check is stale dated. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that in legislation number 29. We're going to have to, that was cut from the Water Capital Improvement Fund, and we're going to have to give that to the county. So since we're not doing that.
What was that for originally? What drilling?
We were going to do directional drilling at the park, maybe some at the cemetery. And the county advised us to cut the check out of Water Capital before the end of the year. And then I think our guys might have done some of the work. But so the check is going to be voided. The funds are going to become available, and then we'll turn those over to the county.
Okay.
Receipts. 216,260. That's high because we got money from the trust. There was an OPWC pass-through payment for West Prospect Street, and we also got our semi-annual property tax check. So got quite a bit of money, and plus a lot of income tax. Payments were also a little bit higher than usual. There's a CT check for West Prospect work. We paid for road salt, and our annual insurance bill came due, which was about $10,000. Credit card report. We don't have our credit card bills yet, but we have very little this month, I think. I don't think I've seen much come through at all. Revenue status, we're on track. If you look at the zoning revenues in the general fund, we're doing really well there. Probably a lot of variances and things like that, BZA hearings. We are still under on license tax and permissive tax, though. I just don't know what's going on with that. I thought we would be playing catch up by now, and it's just not coming in. For the appropriation status, parks and village hall operating, we've gone through quite a bit. I think we've just done so much work this year. Like at the park, there's just so much going on. The village hall, we did a lot of painting and things like that. So I think we've used up 67% of our operating for that. So we'll probably start slowing down. Streets equipment, we've used almost all of it. So I'm going to double check that, make sure that I charged everything to the right PO and make sure that we've really used all that up. But I just looked at that today and I thought it looked a little high. So I'll check that. No adjustments on the bank reconciliation. There was a $35 correction. That was a receipt that I put in. I transposed a number, so that's no big deal. Does anybody have any questions on that?
Nope.
No, not at this time.
Okay.
No, I don't have anything. Do you want to go move on to the bill of resolution or?
Probably have to make a motion to approve.
Oh, sorry. Please.
Yeah.
Sorry,
make
can I
that-
make a motion, get a motion to approve?
Yes,
Thank you. All those in favor?
and move it to council.
Right.
I
and move it to-
seconded it, but yeah, we need, but I,
Aye.
Ah,
I apologize. I have a horrible headache today, so I'm not. All right, so red bill of resolution.
understand, hang in there, I understand. Can I do anything for you? Want me to take over?
No, Jenny, are we on the bills of resolution?
Mhm. I really don't think there's anything on there that's out of the ordinary. Well, line 29 is Woodford Excavating. That's our first contractor pay estimate, for the work on West Prospect. That's, our share of it. So other than that, it's kind of a normal month.
a motion to approve the bills of resolution and move them to council.
Second.
All those in favor?
Ah,
Aye. Okay. All right, let's go on to review of legislation. Ordinance 2021-20, an ordinance authorizing the mayor and the clerk treasurer to advertise for bids for residential curbside rubbish and recycling services within the village. This is our third time going over this. Any discussion?
The only thing that I would add is that when we started this piece of legislation, we didn't have a village administrator, and now we do. So we're going to have to somebody's going to have to move to fill in Mary Ann's name throughout the document. And I think by the time we have our meeting, we'll know what days we're going to advertise, which will probably be, I don't know, June 18th and June 25th or something like that.
I'll make a motion to fill in the village administrator's name where appropriate on the bid packet.
second.
Well,
All
we'll
those in
do this at
favor?
council.
Okay.
Yeah. But I just wanted to make you aware that that's going to come up. So we can all four of us try to remember, or all 5 or 6 of us. Or Joe can
All right.
help.
I thought we were knocking that out now.
That'd be nice, but no.
Yeah.
That's all I have to say about that.
Thank you, Michelle. And ordinance, okay, so ordinance 2021-24, and ordinance amending section 331.45 of the codified ordinances of the Village of Mantua relating to distracted driving and declaring an emergency. Any questions on this one?
I think it's service, if you recall, Matt, I can't remember exactly what it was. Heather was going to make a recommendation to amend it so that I don't remember what it was now. Totally.
Safety.
Oh, I'm sorry, that was safety. Never mind.
Right. Yeah,
but-
and the
but
language
remind
is going to
yourself-
be, instead of where last month we added or initiate or receive a telephone call, I think with the language that safety recommended is going to be or initiate, receive, or otherwise engage in a telephone call. So it's any telephone calls is
That's correct.
so council will have to approve that amendment for it to be included.
Very good.
Any other discussion on that?
No discussion.
Moving forward. Ordinance 2021-25, an ordinance approving and adopting a permanent budget for the 2022 for the Village of Mantua after publication and public budget hearing pursuant to Ohio Revised Code 5705.30. And Mayor, we're doing a workshop next Tuesday.
Yeah, I just,
What time does that workshop start?
6 o'clock.
6?
I did want to point out that I was looking at it and some of the numbers aren't matching up and I figured out why. On the Exhibit A, the totals for I don't know if it's expenditures, they don't match up. Yeah. One of them does not match up with the working papers. And the reason why is because we didn't put the $12,000 transferred into Fund 4905. So that one isn't showing any revenues and it should show that 12,000. Just something easy to fix. And I'll just bring that up at the workshop. That way we'll have a list of any amendments that are made. And then when we go to council, we'll be able to just go right down the list and amend everything. But that's what I wanted to point out now.
Correct. That's the easiest way to do it.
Okay, any other questions and discussions? All right. Do we need to, oh, we're good with that one. Okay, ordinance 2021-26, an ordinance amending section 121.03, Article 12, Section 1A of the Village of Mantua Codified Ordinance concerning the Service Committee. This is the first reading.
Does anybody know what this is about?
Yes. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, you go ahead. You're better at explaining it.
I
Well,
know,
I'll go first and then you could clean it up. How's
Oh.
that?
I
Yeah,
bet you'll do fine.
No, this is to remove the language about the water and sewer plant stuff from the verbiage of the service committees. What's the word there?
Responsibilities.
Yeah,
Yes.
responsibilities. Yes, there you go. Yeah, I was going to say framework, but yeah,
Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
that's it.
that's
Just
fine.
housekeeping.
I'm fine with that.
Housekeeping stuff, right?
Do we need to move this to council?
Service already recommended it.
Okay,
Why don't
perfect.
we just move everything to council when we get through with all the legislation? Every piece of it, all of it.
Well, we got Joe talking about the next two pieces, right? After we discuss those. So ordinance 2021-27, an ordinance providing for the submission of the electors of the Village of Mantua at the general election on November 2nd, 2021, as proposed tax ordinance amending section 173.012 of the Village of Mantua Codified Ordinances, purposes of tax rate, so as to increase the rate of taxation on income to 2%. Chief, you want to discuss?
Yeah, at safety, am I coming through?
Yes.
Okay. At safety, we discussed it and I made safety aware that at the end of this year, our dispatching contract with Village of Garrettsville is up for renewal. And this year, Garrettsville's paying approximately $90,000 for this year's service. We are ending a 5-year contract. And with that, Garrettsville explored their options and they went to Portage County for a quote, and Portage County quoted them a quote of $37,645. So would say roughly 1/3, a little bit over that. So even if we say half of it. So they're looking at their options. And with that being said, I think we need to come up with a contingency plan. I don't know. They've given us pretty much, Chief Christopher would like to make a decision by July 1st to whether he's going to continue services with us or whether he's going to move forward with Portage County for dispatching for the year 2022. So this came up that if we lose that, would say roughly $90,000, how are we going to fund a police department and still provide services? So we're looking at alternative options in the event that they were to go to Portage County for their dispatching services.
I got a question for you, Chief.
Yes, Ben.
2% amounts to what, $216,000, something like that?
No, I think at safety, Jenny said if we increase 0.5%, it would be, quote me if I'm wrong, Jenny, roughly $216,000.
Mhm.
So that
Well,
0.5% would be $216,000.
well, that's about $120,000 more than you're losing, and I don't blame you. And I'll vote to run it up to the people, the voters to vote on. But times are kind of tough right now. People are on unemployment and everything's costing. I heard it, the piece of ply, 4x8 piece of plywood costs you $70, $80 now. Food is expensive. Gas is going up. I'll vote to go ahead and do this, but I just wonder if we might be asking for more than what we should be to get people to vote for it. People got what 1.5% of $50,000 is $750. So you only make it 42. Then you got 37% of that for food or suit, FICA, unemployment, workman's comp, and hospitalization. You got gas, and you got food, and you got rent, and you got mortgage, and you got a levy down at the fire department, and you got a levy at the school, and you got another levy at the child endurance thing. So you're losing about 50% or maybe more. I'm just wondering if we might be asking for more than what we can get.
Well, my concern was, and since then, and I don't think the school's planned on this, but the school did not pass at the recent election. And this money would be earmarked for the police department. So my concern was, do we feel that the residents would feel that this would pass if they know where the money is going, that it is for the police department so that we can continue to provide service to the village?
I'm going to vote. I'm going to vote to send it to the voters. I'm just saying that are we asking for more than what we can get? That's all. That's the only thing I'm saying. I'll vote to send it to the voters. I got no problem with that, and I got no problem with you asking for what you can get. But getting something might be better than getting nothing. I'm just saying that it seems like that's a pretty high price. People got everything, rent, mortgage payments, gas prices, food prices, and everything else. By the time food is suit, FICA, workman's comp, and unemployment and hospitalization is like 37%. So I'm just saying I'll definitely vote to run it to the voters, but I'm just saying, are we asking? Just wondering if we're asking for too much. I ain't saying that we are. I'm just wondering.
Chief, what part of the contract are we in with Mantua Shalersville Fire?
We are right in the middle. In 19, we signed a contract for the years 20, 21, and 22. So the contract with the fire department ends December 31st of 2022.
So
we still have about a year and a half with them.
Are any danger of us losing them to the sheriff's department as well?
I don't believe so. I won't speak for Chief Rosa. I have had some general conversations with him. I feel that he's happy with our service. If he has any concerns, he brings them to us, we address them, and we move on. We have a personable, it stays with the community, and I feel, and I've talked to some residents, when they dial a number, they like to hear somebody that's in our village, and we get that personable service. Chief Rosa has not indicated to me that this would be the last contract with them. So at this point, next year, when we usually start early in the year, we start talking about contract for the next set of negotiations.
And then what's the ramifications of not getting the 2%? I mean, not getting getting
if we don't get the 0.5% and Garrettsville goes to the sheriff's office, we're going to lose $90,000.
What's that do to your department?
Well, 75% of that goes to the general fund, 25% comes back to my police capital, but I still have fixed cost. So, I mean, my police capital right now is kind of healthy. I have 2 aging vehicles. I was looking at purchasing a vehicle late this year, early next year, and looking to promote a full-time officer. to get some stability, which we've already discussed and we talked about moving forward with that. So I'm the conservative type. I would probably try not to make too many moves until we see where, until this levels out a little bit.
My only concern was what we're asking for more than we can get. That's all. I'll vote to send it to the voters.
Mayor?
I only want to remind everybody, I mean, I don't think Matt and Tammy were there last year when we discussed that our officers come here, get their training, and they move on because they make such a lower wage than other departments. And
Mhm.
so we had discussed increasing that. I would hate to have to cut employees back after it's taken us so many years to get 24/7 coverage back on the road. And so I know our residents like having the 24/7. They like having the personal touch, so to speak. I think there's, it's still a 50-50 chance because of the economy and the way things are going, but we have to let the residents make that decision. And I, sure, we could go for maybe 1/4% and come up with a little over $105,000. But I mean, gas prices are going to be, like Ben says, raising costs. People are unemployed. I mean, we're still going to have to pay almost $5 a gallon for gas, $4 by what it might possibly be by the end of the year.
Yeah. Yeah.
And keep in mind, prior, when we decided to make the school resource officer a full-time position, for 9 months out of the year, roughly 9 months out of the year, the school picks up the full burden rate of him for the most part. And then the village picks up the 3 months throughout the summer. So yes, he is a full-time because we still are under a 10-year rolling contract with the schools for security. So out of that year, the 9 months, the schools, we're reimbursed for that officer, and then we use him in the summertime, which theoretically is when most people take vacations and we need him the most. So we are utilizing that. And then the talk was just prior to COVID was adding another full-time to get a lot of stability for the rest of the year throughout. And then COVID hit, so obviously we just kind of, everything come to a halt until we got it figured out.
Right, we talked last month about adding a full-time.
Yes, we did.
Right before the summer months came so that you could train them when you had the extra.
Yes, correct. And just, I did send out, just to get a feel, I sent out an interdepartment email, and I do have 2 current candidates that would be interested in that position that showed interest. So we could actually promote from within.
Like I say, I've got no problem with sending it to the voters. I'm just hoping that we're not asking for more than we can get, or not, or we don't get anything.
Well,
I
if you look back,
I hope you get it all, Chief. Good luck.
well, I will tell you this. I have a couple current applications for employment, people looking for maybe 1 or 2 days a month. Maybe a decade ago, people were knocking down the door to come work. With current events and law enforcement, people are taking a step back. So I think when we get somebody here and we get them trained, I think we need to invest in the village's future and hold on to these people, because like the mayor said, we don't want to be a training ground. They come here, we pay them to train them, we train them, and then they move on to something else, and we have to start all back over.
That's been
So,
going on. That's been going on.
I would like to keep some officers that come here long-term for the betterment of the village, and then they can make advancement. Some
Okay,
people
good.
come here and leave because we're a predominantly part-time department.
For the last
No room for
20 years that
advancement.
I know of, they've been doing that, Chief. And you
So-
can't blame a person for moving on, making more money.
No, I have never chastised anybody that wants to move on and better themselves. I promote that. They got to do what they do for themselves. I'm just saying, I think at this point, we need to do what we can do so that they can call this their home and they don't have to move on.
Right. Yeah, I've got a number of thoughts on the whole thing. I'll probably save a lot of them for next week at the risk of sounding redundant. But I agree, Ben. It's kind of a bad time to bring this up, but at the same time, normally with me, tax increases is normally going to be a no-go. But when we talk law enforcement, when we talk public safety, that will get my attention. I understand what we're facing here. In regards to asking for too much, it's like what we talked about, like you just talked about again, Chief, a month ago, about training good officers, keeping them here for the long term. I'll say it again. When I came here, it was Dan Foreman, it was Sergeant Ed, it was guys that have been here their whole lives, and people appreciate that about that village. Just one thing I always appreciated was seeing the same guys, the same uniform, and the same cars every single day. And we got to do something to maintain that, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So agree. But I will vote to send this to the voters, for sure.
I'll
We'll,
vote to
like,
send it
we'll
to
talk.
the-
We'll talk about it more next week because I got some more comments that I just want to take up all the time talking about this. But Chief, really quick, Chief, do me a favor. I am not fully in the know about the dynamics of the dispatch service relationship between the different municipalities and the county. Then, so maybe can you just break that down for me and anybody else listening exactly how this relationship works?
All right, so at safety, basically, when we sign a contract for dispatching services, it's just for that. For example, and I'll use Garrettsville as an example. So our contract with Garrettsville specifically says we will answer a phone for them 24/7. They have a phone line, so if you call Garrettsville Police, it rings to us. We will enter their warrants. We will do all the CAD entry. CAD is our computer-aided system, our computer system we share with them. We will do all that documentation. When it comes to warrants, they keep the original warrant for a suspect. We will then enter the warrant. We are what's called an entering agency in Leeds. So we will enter that warrant for them. If that warrant is recalled or if the suspect turns himself in, then we pull that warrant out of Leeds, which then takes it out of the state's computer system. We also do clerking for them as far as if they have criminal charges. All of our dispatchers are clerk of court notaries to be able to clerk the charges to go down. So that's the service we provide for them.
Okay.
I know it was brought up at safety about snow plowing. I can't offer any other service besides what I can do from the dispatch chair. That's what I can offer them in a dispatch contract. And Matt, if you want, I can email you a copy of that contract, or if you want to stop down and go through, you'll specifically, it's very spelled out, the services that we will provide as part of that contract.
Okay. So contract. So 5-year contract, 90,000 a year.
That was with increases. So what happened, a little history real quick.
Yep.
Back when Mantua was going to be like a North regional dispatch facility, we had 9 entities that we were looking to dispatch for. Mantua Police and Fire, Hiram Police and Fire, Garrettsville Police and Fire, Community EMS, and Wyndham Police and Fire. So Chief Booker did had all these numbers of everybody who, what they were going to pay. We were going to have to add another full-time dispatcher. All that cost was figured in. He did all this legwork, had this whole thing, had meetings and everything. And then people started backing out and everybody backed out except for Garrettsville. Hiram at the time was with Aurora. So when that happened, former chief militia from Garrettsville sat down with Chief Booker and they came up with the contract numbers and they signed a 5-year contract.
Okay.
Which was 2017, 18, 19, 20, and 21. So now we're coming up on the end of that 5-year contract. And I want to say the beginning of that contract, I think the first year was maybe 82,000. I'd have to pull that contract, see what the first, there's normally like a 3% increase each year.
Yeah, sure. All right, and so they're negotiating with Portage County now for
They
the
sent
same.
out feelers.
Yep.
They sent out feelers to get other quotes.
Yep.
And from their perspective, $55,000 cheaper, almost 60. So basically we're at 90 and they're at roughly 37.
Yeah. Any beat on why that discrepancy? Is it technology or something?
No, it was the numbers that former Chief Booker come up when we were going to have all these 9 entities. The county has a formula. It's my understanding that they take the total population of the county, how much your community has, and then there's a percentage, like 90% of this and 10%. They have a formula where they come up with their numbers for.
Okay. Understood. Okay, very good. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yep, you're welcome.
So Chief, is anyone dissatisfied with the sheriff's office that we could go and see if they were interested in, when their contract's up with the sheriffs to move back to us, or?
The
Did
only
they
other one that I know
ask-
that went to the sheriff's office for police dispatching is Hiram. Hiram Police and Hiram Fire both went at January 4th of this year. I don't know the length of their term because we used to dispatch for Hiram Police and Hiram Fire.
Yeah.
And then they went to Aurora, and then it's my understanding Aurora did away with their secondary dispatching. They only want to do for themselves. They don't want any additional. And at the time, Hiram did approach me and ask me what a quote would be. And at that time, based on the call volume with Mantua, our fire department, Garrettsville Police, I gave him a number, and that was based on we would have to definitely add a second dispatcher certain days of the week during prime time. So I had to figure that cost in. And they were looking around, and it's my understanding because Hiram Village has a low population, their number was a lot cheaper. I don't know what that number is for Hiram Police and Hiram Fire, whether they went at a package or separate, but they made the decision to go with the county.
Okay. Is there any way to tell when a municipality's contract's gonna be up? Is that like public knowledge, or you just have to know?
Well, ours is public because we do legislation to show.
Okay. More if there's a way to go after these contracts when they come up to recruit
Right.
people.
Yeah.
Michelle,
More
I'm
like-
assuming that all municipalities, because it's taxpayer money, would have to do legislation for dispatching contracts.
I don't know if she's there. I'm the host.
Yeah,
now.
I'm still here.
Oh, are you?
Whatever it is, the contracts are public record. The sunshine laws apply to all political subdivisions. So if you wanted to get them, you could just ask for them.
And I wasn't sure about community EMS because that's a private company. I didn't know.
I think community EMS is also a special taxing district. So they
Okay.
would be also a public body.
For those who don't know, that's basically the ambulance service within the village of Garrett. So in Garrettsville, you have Garrettsville Police, Garrettsville Fire, and then community EMS runs their squad calls.
Yeah, I
Sounds
don't
like
think
an
this is
opportunity for a pretty nice revenue stream. Really?
With that,
Sounds like a pretty nice opportunity for a pretty good revenue stream if you can sign up enough municipalities over a period of time.
and
But-
some of my concerns was that, and it's no disrespect towards the county, or I'm not trying to bash them in any way, but the more entities you take on, the same amount, you're getting more and more, unless you add people or workstations, how are you going to handle that increased volume? And this was brought up at safety, we treat our customer first. We have a very close rapport with our customers when it comes to dispatching. And I mean, they pay us to provide a service, and we want to be able to do that. So,
Chief, let's make that part of our sales pitch.
a salesman, so much I am not. I can run the numbers and that, but you sound like the perfect salesman to me.
Let's roll. Let's roll, man. Let's do it.
But,
No, I'll think on this some more. Seriously, let's take a look at some of this stuff.
yeah,
Yeah.
and just real quick, I want to mention in finance, because I know that there's a misconception out there. When we say $90,000, that sounds like that the Mantua Police Department gets $90,000 to dispatch for Garrettsville. Believe me, if I got $90,000 a year, we would have some full timers in that. People don't understand, if they would read the fine print, 75% of that goes into the general fund, which then helps come back to my budget for the following year. 25% of that comes back to my police capital. out of that police capital, I had to rebuild all my consoles to make sure when we hit the button, our technology works. We've upgraded our voice recording because it was antiquated. You know, dispatching computers were failing. So it's not that we were wasting this 25%. We were investing in our future. So I just want to clarify that the police department does not get $90,000.
There's something about that that I need to correct you on. Whenever during the year that you need an increase in your appropriations, we always give it to you. So you get more along during the year. If you need an increase in your appropriations, I don't remember a time that we haven't given the police department what they needed. You just increased the appropriation from the general funds.
Well, I think what I try to do, and I work very well with Jenny, is if I have so much in police operating or in dispatch operating, we kind of take from one and pull to the other. I try not to ask for more out of the general fund to increase my budget throughout the year.
But if you have to and you need to, you'll get it.
And I'm not disputing that. And
All
Jenny,
right,
when was the last time we've had to do that?
I'm not arguing with you. I'm
not causing an argument. I'm just asking a simple question. How many times have I had to ask for more money than what my budget was versus how many times did I go under and give back?
I don't know. You'd have to ask Jenny that. I don't know.
And I just did that. I think we give back a lot more than we ask.
I don't mean to offend you. If I did, I apologize.
No, I understand that, Ben. I'm just saying it's not like we're spending frivolously.
I know
Watch
that.
what we
I
spend.
agree. I agree with you 100%.
Okay, let's let Jenny answer. She hasn't answered.
Are you asking if we've had to increase appropriations for the police department? 'Cause I think what comes to mind is when we had the giant phone bills, and I think we had to bump it up for that. But other than that, he's pretty good at staying in his budget.
That was my question, was how many times do I go over my budget versus how many times do I stay under my budget since I've been chief in 2017?
I'd have to look at the numbers. I don't think you've gone over budget. I mean, just that one telephone thing. So
We had an AT&T debacle that we inherited, and we had to muddle through it. And I think we're going to resolve that because that contract's up this November. But other than that, like I said, just because if I'm appropriated 587.3, I don't try to spend 587.3. Believe me, I know that the money comes back into the general fund, which then helps me out the following year.
So Chief, just so this question is asked, what if we were to go to the sheriff's and close down our dispatch? What would that do? Do we still have expenses?
Yeah, I mean, we still have fixed cost here.
What with just dispatch? Do we have any ongoing contracts that we would have to pay still that we're in contract?
We're still under contract with the fire department until the end of 2022.
Okay.
And then we would still have to have somebody here to answer our phones, to do our clerking, to do administrative work here. Yeah, we would still have to have somebody in the building.
and that's why on that spreadsheet that I included, I did put in the cost of the head dispatcher because that position would remain as like an office manager, Joe said.
But we'd also have to pay the sheriff's office too. We would be also incur the expense of paying the sheriff's office on top of that.
Correct. Yeah. Nobody's doing anything for free anymore.
Right.
Right. We would have that cost plus the cost here, plus our residents, when they call, they wouldn't be speaking to one of us. They would then be speaking to somebody else.
I just want to make sure we've covered everything, right? You know.
Mm-hmm.
Last question, and then we've covered everything.
Okay.
Are we planning a competitive bid for Garrettsville?
We are discussing what our options are. Bottom line, the same thing I told safety. We don't want to lose Garrettsville as a customer.
Right.
We understand that if we say, you know what, we're not budging at $90,000, the choice is made for them. I don't know. They were going to bring it to their safety, finance, and into their council of what the number is. And, you know, it's 37,645. So we need to figure out what can we do. I don't know, even if we match or come close, are they going to stay? That I can't answer.
Yeah, because
Could
I'm
we ask
thinking,
for a 1-year contract at the shares price? That would, and that would expire the same time ours expired with Manaway Shalersville. I mean, it kicks it down the can just a year, you
Chief
know?
Christopher is open. That's why he showed the courtesy to tell us what he was paying, what they were offering, and to give us the opportunity to try to come up with something that he would either agree to or not agree to, to be able to take to his governing body.
I
yeah,
just think kicking it down for another year out would, the economy would hopefully shake out by then, we'd all be past COVID, everything. It might be easier to put a tax something on the, to the voters in a year than it is this year.
I will tell you from where I sit, and I'm not trying to downplay anything. Negotiating a 1-year contract might be a little difficult because they're going to say, well, if we do it this year, then we have to turn right around again and do it next year. Generally, contracts are 3 years. Or in this case, it was a 5-year. I don't see too many 1-year contracts that I hear about anymore.
yeah.
Just
I was thinking,
It's an extension, contract extension, a 1 year.
Well, if you're talking an extension, you talk at the current rate, you would have to, it's almost like you would renew a 1-year contract and you'd
Right.
have to have different language in there.
yeah, I was thinking that too. 1 year, you're gonna have to turn right back around and redo it. If anything, it's advantageous to us in order to have a contract. Like they would have to build something in there for them to make it advantageous for them to turn around and redo this again in a year.
Right. And that's why Chief Rosa and we signed a 3-year because he has to take it to the fire board, and the same as we have to bring it. He has his legislation with his board and we have ours.
Yeah,
Right.
two more questions. When is this due again? When's this up by the end of the year, the end of this year? So
Our contract is through the end of 2021 and
Yeah.
Chief Christopher would like to make a decision by July 1st.
July 1st. Oh, that's what I was looking for, July 1st. Okay, so we'll know by July 1st either way. So just throwing stuff out there. Let's say we submit a competitive offer that's competitive to the county. They accept, and I understand that have that shortfall. But maybe then we could get into what the territory where Ben's talking about. Instead of doing a full, 0.5%, we could do a 1/4% or something like that. So maybe they'll give us some flexibility there.
I mean, I'm open for options. I brought it up because it's something we need to be aware about.
Yeah,
We need to be aware of it because it will impact us financially, not just the police department, but it also impacts the village of Manaway, the general fund, because that's where 75% of that goes. So
Yeah.
that is a pretty huge impact on us.
yeah. And I do not want service levels to drop at all.
Jenny,
Yes.
because we want to go 3 readings on this. There's still time by our meeting in July to get this in, so it's on the ballot and we
Yep.
would have time to amend it at the July meeting to possibly a 1/4% versus a 1/2% or something, correct?
Yeah, we have till August 2nd, I think.
Okay. Can we verify that so we don't miss a deadline?
I think Michelle put it in the legislation.
Oh, okay. I haven't had a chance to read everything, so.
Yeah, it's either in this one or 28, but I think she put it in there.
Okay,
Oh, August 4th.
I thought it was August 4th. It normally is.
okay, thank you.
Mhm.
So we'd have to do June, July, August, right? Or, no, we'd have to do
By
May,
July
July,
meeting.
because it,
Yeah, it won't make the August meeting. And I think Jenny had said at some point at safety that we may have to have a special meeting somewhere in there.
Well, I mean, I think we could do 3 normal readings, but if we just wanted to see where things were and iron everything out, we could do a special meeting.
It is what it is. I don't mind sending it to the voters. I've got no problem about that. I'm quite happy and pleased. Let the voters decide. That's the way it's going to be anyway, no matter what else we decide. We can't vote on it and pass it. We have to take it to the voters. So let's just let the voters decide. I don't mind that. That's fine. That's fine and dandy.
And that's why
Anyway.
when I brought it up to safety, I had asked Ben and Marty, just because they had been here a long time, is this something you feel that the voters would support, knowing that the services would stay here and we'd be able to plant some roots in our department here and promote from within and get some stability? And like Ben said, a lot of it depends on the economy.
Yep, that's exactly what's going to happen too. That's what, if the economy is going good, you'll probably get it. If the economy is tanking, you probably won't. I mean, that's just simple. That's the way it is. People think about the pocketbooks just like we do.
All right, can I get a motion
For what?
to move it to council?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Okay.
Resolution 2021-28, a resolution requesting and authorizing the Portage County Board of Elections to place upon the Village of Mantua ballot at the general election of November 2nd, 2021, the question of whether ordinance 2020-27 increases the Village of Mantua income tax to 2% shall be approved in accordance with the Ohio Revised Code 718.01.
This is just the ballot language.
No,
We need to move it
I
to
think that's
council?
housekeeping for the previous one.
Yep.
Yeah.
Do we need to move it to council, Mayor?
Yes.
Virginia? Okay. Can I get a motion to move it to council?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Ah,
Okay. Ordinance 2021-29, an ordinance authorizing certain adjustments to the 2021 appropriations and declaring an emergency. And Jenny, that's the $7,200?
That's part of it. The other half is for transfers out, the 43,700. We didn't put that in the budget this year. I completely forgot that we have to transfer that. That's property tax money that we use to pay our village hall loan. And the county auditor wants us to put that money in the general fund, not the village hall note fund. So we have to put it in general fund and then transfer it out. So that wasn't part of the budget. So we just have to add that in.
Any discussion? Housekeeping?
no,
No.
that's bookkeeping.
Can I get a motion to move it to
Yeah.
council?
Second.
All those in
Make
favor?
the motion.
Oh, thanks. Aye. All right. Okay, any discussions on anything?
I
I've
just
got
have,
two.
Yes, Mayor?
just real quick on the Memorial KIA fund for the cemetery.
Yes.
Just wanted to let everybody know that Bonnie Zoller Collier wrote a check to the Coit Memorial, Koya, I can't remember the name of the company, directly to them and dropped it off to them so that they could start working on the memorial already, even though we haven't funded all the money. And I just found out today that they have received the check and they're going to be sending us a contract to sign. Just wanted to let everybody know that she wanted it started now and she wanted to take a check down to them so they would start it. We have received $700 more in addition to that I wrote receipts to and put in Jenny's box, and I have another check I get apparently that was put in my box this afternoon, I was told.
Awesome.
So how much more do we need to raise?
We need approximately $5,000, so we have 32 and whatever is in my box.
Okay.
I have not seen this contract though from this memorial place yet, so hopefully I'll have it by Tuesday. I was told it was going to be emailed to me today, unless they stuck it in the mail, Jenny, and you get it, let me know.
I didn't see it.
I didn't quite understand whether they mailed it already. They said, you're gonna get it today. I said, snail mail or email. So,
Matt, did you have something?
Yeah, two quick things. One's real quick and easy. I did finish my Sunshine Laws public records training, all 13 videos, and I got my certification. So knocked that out. Yeah, that's all done. Yeah, I felt good when I got that one open. Number two, last Friday I had lunch with Ted Bixler and Phil Rath from Compass Packaging. And one thing we're talking about the DMRC and all that stuff was when if there is a reimbursable grant that is available, if they were able to front the reimbursable funds to us ahead of time, and then long story short, whenever we get the funds back, we would somehow give it back to them. We talked about that a little bit. Phil said that he was going to contact you, Jenny. Did he talk to you about that yet?
No,
it
Okay.
wasn't our Jenny, it was Jennifer Brown from CT. I had a conversation with him today.
Oh, okay. I thought it was our Jenny because that's how the
Well,
money
Jenny,
moves in and
yeah.
out. That's how the money moves in and out. Oh,
Jenny, and I might have told him incorrectly. What I told him was, is any money that we take in for a project, you have to go to the county and add it to our budget, and so we can appropriate it, have that paper trail and stuff. So that I would have to discuss with you exactly how it works. But I mean, he's talking like, okay, let's say phase 3, once we get the final approval. They would have to they would want to give us the $87,000 for the whole thing. That would be wonderful that it's not hitting our general fund. But then what kind of nightmares, what kind of situation would it make on the clerk on having to track all that and
yeah.
go to the commission or go to the county, to do all the paperwork that it would entail. And maybe it's easier than my mind is thinking.
Yeah.
It might be a good question to run through the solicitor too, because you might not be able to do that.
Yeah. That's what we were
I
thinking.
don't know about the grant, and just moving money like this, but it might be more of a legal question than it is whether you want to do it or not.
Yeah.
we would
And then
probably
there would
treat
be
it
the
like a donation.
Right.
Like we did for Orchard Street. They all pitched in money,
True.
so we had it to get the project going.
I remember that.
And then you
That's what I was thinking. You have
paid
like a-
back what they went over. Yeah.
Mhm.
And we were able to pay Orchard Street people back, right, Jenny?
No, we didn't end up having any.
Theirs
we
was a
could have.
donation that covered
Yeah.
our 50%.
Mm-hmm.
That
Yeah.
was a 50-50 grant for Orchard Street.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't, my only concern would be, and again, it would be council's decision, not mine, in accepting a donation or however you want to put it for $87,000. And the grant would be in our name. Look at the position that we're in phase 2 now, trying to finish it up because of all the snafus with that. I would be concerned about DMRC would possibly say, I'm not saying they would, well, we gave you the $87,000, so this is the way this is going to be. And have total control over the whole grant process. I don't know.
Oh,
Maybe,
yeah.
maybe
Well,
I'm thinking too far outside the box.
Yeah, no, that's a good thought. I would say, it's great that would happen, but we have, all the project goes to the village, right? So, I mean, that's the appropriate channels here. So I'd like to think that that is discussed beforehand and things like that. But
Right. There'd be a lot of things to work out.
yeah, yeah. But either way, the question was asked, and it might be coming. But I thought it was something I thought of actually last year. And I thought it was a nice gesture. So I thought, it was a good conversation. Either way.
No,
I
I
can
talked
get a
to
hold-
Phil today and he brought it up. I'm sorry, Jenny. Go ahead.
I can get a hold of the UAN people and see, how that's done. It's not really a donation, it's more of a loan, so it could get tricky. So
Yeah,
I should check into it, and
Yeah.
I will. I'll check tomorrow.
it's cool. Yeah. Thank you.
Welcome.
What was your other thing, Matt?
I think that's all I had. Yeah.
Anybody else? Can I get a motion to adjourn?
I moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Ah.
Aye.
Finance meeting over at 6:54.
I hope you're happy.
Good night, everyone. Don't
Thank
forget
you,
to
Chief,
log
for
us all
coming.
off, Matt.
Stay safe and have a
Night.
good evening.
Well, I'm sorry. I hope you feel better, team. What'd you say, Mayor?
I said, don't forget to log us all off.
I won't. Yeah, I won't this time. I promise. Chief, thanks for joining us, buddy.
Yep.
We'll be in
Thank
contact.
you.
Don't talk about those contracts. I
Yep.
wanna come
Give me a
back, but-
call.
Yep, you got it.
Bye.